Hi guys, I'm Scott and welcome to Spider Lab UK. Now, if you saw the thumbnail, you'll see that I'm going to talk about dwarf tarantulas today. Now, I always get asked what my biggest tarantulas are. I never get asked about the small ones. So I think some people are probably not even aware you can get miniature tarantulas. So I'm going to show you my dwarf tarantulas, and I've also got one new addition. So it's a real stunning one, this one. So let's get into the video and talk about the advantages of having some small tarantulas in your collection. Now, definitely one of the coolest things about dwarf tarantulas is that they don't require much space. Now, I have 8 tarantulas on this one small shelf. In the middle here I have my female and male Amylatrix. This one is a fossorial, the Eclonica. Now, this one is a mature male. He's probably around about 5.5 centimeters. In the front here, I have another mature male. This is my little H. vilacea. Now, this one is absolutely tiny. It's probably about 1.5 inches. So he's fully grown, that one. Now, on the right here, I have a couple of terrestrials. Now, they will need moving up probably into something slightly bigger. But all in all, they really don't take up much space. Now, just had to show you my new addition. So, picked this one up from Bugner at the Essex Arachnid Show in Brentwood, and it's the Cochiana brunipes. Stunning little Brazilian dwarf tarantula. It has that really unusual gold metallic marking on the abdomen there. Almost looks like a face under this light. These guys, they only get to around about 6 centimeters, so around about a 2.5-inch leg span. Wanted one of these for quite a while, and it's really nice to see one for sale this size, because as spiderlings, they really are tiny. So I have had some tiny spiderlings before, dwarf spiders, but it is, it's quite nice to have one a little bit grown on. So I'm going to pop it into a little square enclosure that I have. Now, I've got a few of these enclosures, and you'll be surprised how cheap they are, actually. I'll tell you in the next part of the video just how cheap they are. Now, I've gone for a nice simple little setup for my K. brunipes. Now, the little square enclosure on the right here, I brought for the princely sum of £1.25 from Poundland. So it's essentially just an acrylic food storage tub. They make really, really nice small spider enclosures. Now, with your dwarf tarantulas on rehousings, to be on the safe side, you could put it inside a bigger tub, but I don't actually have any empty big tubs available. Or, you could catch cup it. But I do find catch cupping dwarf tarantulas, they can be super quick sometimes, so it is quite nice to try and walk them over when I can. So far it's moving quite slowly, so hopefully we'll just pop in the container and won't run straight out. There we go. A really nice little tarantula, really glad to have one of these. Now, I wasn't going to make any more purchases at the show, but I saw this at the end and just had to have it. So the next advantage of having dwarf tarantulas is when it comes to feeding. Now, being much smaller than your large tarantulas, the prey items that they require are much smaller. But the good news is, when you buy your small crickets or your mealworms, you get a real load in a tub. So in terms of value for money, it really doesn't cost that much to feed your dwarf tarantulas. Now, they do still have very good appetites, and they have very good feeding response, but in terms of how much you get for your money, they are much cheaper to feed than your real big tarantulas. So this is my Davus pentaloris, and it's got a mealworm here. So you can overfeed your little spiders, so certainly something to keep an eye on. So I keep a monitor how fat the abdomens look, and if they are a little bit plump, we'll hold back on the food for a couple of weeks. Now, the third and final thing that's really cool about dwarf tarantulas is that if you're looking to get your first old world tarantula, but you are a little bit intimidated by some of the bigger ones, you can pick up one of these little African baboon tarantulas. Now, this is the H. villicella, the Tanzanian chestnut baboon. Now, lot less intimidating than one of your larger old world spiders. Now, it's not to say that these guys won't still give you a nip if if you provoke them or are a bit careless, but it's going to hurt a lot less than say a king baboon. So obviously we take all precautions to not get bitten in the first place, but yeah, it's a real good introduction into old world tarantulas. Now, there's a few little African dwarfs to choose from, and they're all stunning little tarantulas. So you definitely need some dwarf tarantulas in your collection. Now, if you only have a small corner in a bedroom to have a few tarantulas, they really are ideal. And also, even the most hardened arachnophobes, I'm sure they'll agree that little Cochiana brunipes, really stunning little tarantula, and really quite a laid-back species as well. So it can be a little bit fast, your little tiny tarantulas. So you do have to be careful on your rehousings, but all in all, they really are quite good fun to have. So hope you've enjoyed seeing my little spiders. Give me a thumbs up if you do like the video. Maybe consider subscribing to the channel. Hit the bell for the notifications, and I'll see you again soon.